Happy Webinar Wednesday.
There we go. Okay, we're going. Holy cow. I had too many things going. I'm taking a cavalier attitude towards live streaming today because we would know it. Do you know? So how the heck is everybody? I hope some of you joined us have been joining us for our Facebook Live, but just so you know what April and I have been up to. Do you know how many days in a row we've live streamed now, April?
I don't know, a lot. I feel like it's
22.
Like 22.
22 days we've been on Facebook.
Shannon know that you've live streamed this much?
Sorry?
Does Shannon know that you've been live streaming this much?
She didn't care.
No, I know. I know. Well, no, of course you wouldn't care, but are you in your office more than you have been?
Well, no, she's at school every day. She doesn't know.
Right. And that's true. You're behind me, and I forget that sometimes because my live streams are different times where like my life is.
Yeah, no, and Shannon gets home like it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night. I hope she's early tonight because we have a YouTube meetup later. So how the heck is everybody? Let's see, where's everybody in from? We got Bruce, we got Cheryl, we got
Cheryl. It's okay if you stalk us. We like you.
What's that?
Cheryl said, I feel like I'm stalking you. It's okay. You can stalk us.
Yeah. So as I said,
as long as we're not boring you, I guess that's good.
When we were in the warming up, getting ready for today's webinar, I said to April, I said, because we've done 22 days in a row, plus we have our regular meetings for regular business. And then we're both going to social media marketing. I said we're gonna have to go through withdrawal from each other. So it's gonna be necessary.
Oh,
so how the heck is everybody? What's that?
Leanne's in San Diego. We're gonna be there this weekend.
Yes, I'm heading to San Diego on Friday, and you're coming on Saturday, right?
I am.
Yeah, and Rick can almost see us from his window in Victoria, BC. Yes, indeed. It's kind of overcast today. Not a bad day. Michael says, Steve, this morning I shaved my beard for the first time in 35 years. Wow.
Wow.
I've had to shave mine for theater occasionally. I don't like my face, although I haven't seen my face since I lost a fair bit of weight. That's how long ago it was since I last shaved my beard, I think.
No, you definitely like trimmed it up though. It looks a lot better than
I trimmed it because we had Marie Forley on the live stream. I couldn't look like a hobo.
Yeah, last week it was looking a little gruff.
Well, it does that, and I see. I have this push pull with my barber. My barber, she's a very cool lady that's opened a barber shop here in this little village that I live in. But she's from the film industry, so we know a lot of the same people. And she's done all the famous people. She's done like everybody that's famous. She's done, and she is a little bit of a biker chick at heart, and so she likes the bushy beard. And so I keep fighting with her. She likes me with a bushier beard, and I like me with a little more trim beard. And as you know, when you have an ongoing relationship with a stylist, even though she's a barber, and it's a barber shop, that you only own a certain percentage of your look if you go back to the same person all the time.
It's true.
If you go to multiple people, you get to choose. Number 2 on the side, number 3 on the top, they do exactly what you say. But when you go to the same barber over and over again, they take ownership. And so it becomes a negotiation.
And you build a trust. The only thing I could say to that is I had a really bad experience. I had a hairdresser that I had for a long time. I loved the way they did my hair. And then I said, okay, I want to go short. And they were like, hey,
you hear Farley? He's dreaming.
Oh, I do hear him.
He's whimpering away in his dreams.
Well, the long and short of was that I was like, let's go short. They went short, but I was very clear, like, I don't want it too short. Like, I want it short, but I don't want it too short. Well, he messed up, and my whole back of my head was like, when I tell you short, it was like up against my head, and then I had these like wings here. My husband, I thought, was going to he was like, what is going on?
Oh, that's not being short. Yes.
It took like 7 months to even get it to a place where it was like below my ears. It was terrible.
Yeah, far more critical. I get you. Let's talk about what we're going to be doing today. So as I did the research on today's topic, I realized we are in a little bit of a minefield here in the productivity space, as the whole idea of block booking is a little bit of a topic that some people are really on board with and other people are against. It generates a little more emotion than your typical productivity topic, which I'm impressed with. So we're going to be talking about time blocking, and I'm going to tell you right off the top, it's a little bit new to me. Time blocking is it's not that it's new to me. I've known about it, but I haven't don't really participate in it too often. So doing the research, I was looking at how other people are doing it, and that's what we're going to be sharing. So today is a typical webinar Wednesday where I will be, we've got a little short 15-minute demo on talking about issues around time blocking, but then we have a special surprise because there's a time blocking online forum starting next week, and we've got the founder of that. He's going to join us online a little bit later. At least I think we will, as long as he's jumped in the room. He'll join us, and we will have a quick conversation, and he'll fill you in on this. But we've got lots of people we know are going to be. They've got like 50 speakers talking about different aspects of time blocking. It's a huge online forum around this topic. So it's. I think we're in the right spot if you want to get find out about it. So we'll be recording. We'll be playing the pre-record. It's about 15 minutes. Then we'll take Q&A afterwards. If you have to jump off for any reason, the recording, as usual, will be sent out to you tomorrow. We will be sending out a recording. Next week, there will be no webinar Wednesday. We are on the road still. I'm just coming back from San Diego from Social Media Marketing World that day. So we're going to take a break next week. No webinar Wednesday next week. Special shout out to all of our patrons. Dottotech is supported through the generosity of our patrons at Patreon, and there's so many of you that support us each and every week. If you want to know about why they do so and what benefits they get, we encourage you to join us, to stop by patreon.com/Dottotech, and there we fill you in on all of the perks. The main perk that you get from being part of Webinar Wednesdays, you get half price on our courses, but you get access to all of these webinars. We leave this webinar available for 48 hours after. We keep the replay up for 48 hours after, but then it is archived for the purpose for the use of our patrons. And this is our 121st Webinar Wednesday as the numbers climb. 121 webinars later. So that's Webinar Wednesday this week. It's so good to be here with you guys talking about productivity. We've been talking so much about online marketing and social media stuff because we've been live streaming every day as part of our B School launch. It's nice to be talking about productivity. Don't you think, April? It's a little bit different. Oh, you went quiet. Did you mute yourself? Yeah, well, you're muted. We'll try and figure that out. Okay, this is good. I'm in charge. I get to make the rules now. All right. So how are we doing for time? We're about 7 minutes in. We'll give the people another minute or so to get into the room. 177 of you in the room. So I'm going to be looking forward to your feedback on time. Just out of curiosity, just in chat quickly, how many of you use time blocking? Say yes. And how many of you are curious about it? Just put in curious. Just curious. So a lot of you use it. Look at that. A lot. Curious. I've been trying, but it's challenging. Yeah, curious. I am time blocking curious. Look at that. Okay. I should have done a poll. It's very loose time blocking. See, when I posted, I said, is there a middle ground? And that's what generated the response. People came back to me and said, no, Steve, there is no middle ground. Do not be silly. Either you're a time blocker or you are not. And I think they said not like a little bit dismissive. Have you figured it out yet? No, you haven't.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah.
I hit the mute button by accident, but I was adjusting everything else.
Okay, well, there we go.
Sorry.
Well, see, Vicky says she thinks there's a middle ground. I agree with Vicky 100%. I think there is too. So let's do this. Let's jump in. Let's watch the video that I did on time blocking. Let's come back on the other side. Let's get to your questions, and hopefully we will have lots of answers, opening your eyes to what might be the key. This might be the changing, defining moment in your productivity life right now, right here. So let us view our video on time blocking. I'm a little trepidant about diving into this topic because I'm going to tell you right off the top that this is not for everyone. Time blocking your calendar doesn't work for everyone. In fact, some people downright are militant and hate it, but other people find it incredibly powerful and the key to massive productivity. So we are going to have a conversation about it. I'm not going to tell you this is the way to do things because I don't think that this is the way to do things unless this is the way to do things that work for you. I posted in one of my in one of the promos for this that wondering if there's a middle ground with time blocking. And some people who are deeply into time blocking have come back and said, no, there is no middle ground. Either you are on the bandwagon or you are off. You're in the club or you are out. I'm not sure that has to be the case, but let's have a conversation about it and open your eyes to some of the potential that time blocking has, and I've enjoyed the journey. Now, again, full disclosure, this is not the system that I typically use. I will do it for periods of time as I'm testing things out and trying things, sometimes project-based. I will block my calendar in such a way, but I don't live by this rule. This is so if I am in error of some of the assumptions that I make, I know that there are people in this group and people on the webinar that will correct me in some of my misconceptions as we go ahead. But essentially, time blocking is just taking your calendar and literally blocking out the entire day. Blocking out, deciding what activities you are going to put in each and every hour. I guess you probably would end up mainly using the hour unit or whatever's needed in order for your day to be efficient. And while that might seem rigid, within each block, of course, you have tremendous flexibilities. Now, people ask, is it practical to block every single minute of the day? And does it kill your joie de vivre? Does it kill the ability for you to be impulsive and to take advantage of opportunities? I don't think it does. I don't think it does from that perspective. What it does, I think the biggest benefit ultimately is it applies discipline. And the reason that I think that I'm more excited now about calendar blocking than ever before is recognizing what's happening in our society, how much of an ADHD society we've become, and how susceptible we are to all forms of distraction now, because we are just being bombarded with distraction from so many areas that I believe time blocking is a great antidote to the distractive nature of what we live in. So how do you go about time blocking? What do you do? Well, basically, you go through your calendar and you block out the different blocks of time for different tasks. Now, some people think it has to be completely rigid and every day has to look like the day before. No. You, based on your own flow and your own decision-making process, you block out your day and your weeks based on your own rhythm and your own schedule. Now, some people that are kind of advanced in the time blocking world recommend that you do things called bookending, which is you create a morning routine and an afternoon routine, so a startup and a shutdown routine for your workday. This is especially valuable if you are the sort of person that completely creates a separation between church and state, between personal and home life, and when your startup routine is, and the startup routine doesn't have to be productivity related, it can be development related. So for some people, their morning startup routine could be going to the gym, and it could be doing a workout, or it could be sitting down and having a cup of coffee and reading or meditating. You can set your routine to whatever works best for you. It doesn't have to be, I am going to do 35 minutes of email, and then I'm going to do 25 minutes of research, and then I'm going to, you don't have to do it that way. You set it up for what works best for you. So that concept of bookending and that routine, I think if you do bookending, you probably create a routine which you follow each day, and it becomes the habit. And those people that follow the concept of the miracle morning, where their morning is most productive, they might set up a nice routine for that. It's fairly intriguing, the shutdown routines. I admire the people who can sit down at the end of the workday, shut everything off, and create a list of their objectives for tomorrow and go in and fill in so that they have the day ahead of them clear. And those people probably also have inbox zero, and you and I know that those people are just irritating how organized they are. But bookending might give you some of the structure that you need to accomplish that. And then within the blocks of the day, how do you then structure them? You basically go through and allocate time. Now, one way that I think that you have to be willing to be flexible and allow your schedule to evolve as you get experience. If you're just starting out time blocking, you probably have a very basic, very simple, very unsophisticated structure. And then over time, you will evolve it into a far more sophisticated structure. I mean, a lot of us really don't know, if we were to sit down and just dedicate an hour to email, how much email we can get done in that hour. Or if we were to dedicate an hour to cold calling, to if we're in sales to doing outreach, or if you were to dedicate an hour to cleaning up all of the backlinks in your blog posts, you don't know how much work you get done if you actually spend that hour. Because typically speaking, we start on a project, but then we allow distraction to enter, and we kind of meander through it rather than hyper focus on it. Now, that brings us to the next big challenge, I think, with time blocking, and that is the type of work that we assign to our different blocks. And they can be broken down. One way to break them down is proactive and reactive tasks. Proactive tasks is writing a blog post, is creating a video. It's something proactive that you are the driving force behind. And that requires a certain amount of energy, a certain amount of discipline, a certain amount of preparation in order to do. Reactive tasks are when you let somebody else drive the buggy, as it were, where you're reacting to opportunities, you're reacting to emails. Usually it's coming in through email, but it could be coming in through your chat within your team Slack environment. But you're reacting and you're basically fulfilling obligations that you have made to others, or others are requesting from you, and you're reacting to that. Again, very difficult to determine exactly how much time you're going to spend doing that, but they are driving the bus. Now, there's an energy difference that we have between proactive and reactive tasks. I think proactive tasks are typically higher energy because they're creative. They are things that we are working on. So as you think about scheduling proactive tasks, if you are a morning person, you might schedule those in the morning. For recording videos, for me, recording a blog post or a podcast or recording a video. Those things are very intense as far as the amount of energy it takes for me. So making sure that for those proactive tasks that I'm scheduling them for within my own rhythm of when I am high energy. I can then, you can also kind of go mid-energy. I know Mike Vardy is a big proponent of this, talking about our energy levels. So I would probably look at my mid-energy time for doing editing, where I need to concentrate, but I don't necessarily have to be as creative. And then there's your lower energy times, when you're typically after you've eaten that early afternoon, that lull. It may be an idea. You may find it very useful in those times, schedule your reactive tasks because you're responding to things. You aren't necessarily driving it ahead. But the key, I think, for most of us is staying on task, staying within that block and doing the work which is required of us in that block in order for us to continue to move the ball downfield. Now, there are other techniques that can fold into time blocking. They aren't exclusive of others. One of which is batch tasking, where you do a whole series of that. This is terrific for people who do podcasts, of us batch tasking podcasts, where we will batch produce them because we're all set up, we're all ready to go. We've got all the technology. If you're recording videos, your makeup is on, you're looking good, so you can get a lot more done if you batch task different applications. In that case, your blocking might look a lot different. Your calendar, your time blocking for a day might be 5 hours blocked out for batch tasking podcasts, and you have them scheduled interviews back to back to back to back, so that you have all of your Skype set up and your microphone set up, and you have the quiet house, and you know that nobody's around, etc. So, and you've got your producer on the line. Whatever it is it takes to make it work, batch tasking definitely falls in, so you can layer different productivity techniques in with the time blocking techniques. Another technique that you may layer in with it is a Pomodoro technique. So the Pomodoro, and I think this one really fits nicely with time blocking, to be honest. Why would I be not honest? But the Pomodoro technique is the strangely named technique, which is where, based on this timer, this Apple timer that I think it made like 25-minute Pomodoros, where you hyper focus on a task for 25 minutes, but you have a timer that you start, and you discipline yourself to work, staying on task through the 25 minutes. Most of us can focus for that period of time. And then we take a break. We go for a walk, we take 5 minutes, we grab a cup of coffee, we allow our brain to rest, and then we apply ourselves for the next Pomodoro, for the next 25 minutes, and we focus. Pomodoros drop very nicely within time blocks if you stop and think about it. And there's a variety of different tools that you can use that are mechanical timers or digital timers that help you focus. And this is where I really think that the concept of time blocking works well for those of us who have a distracted personality. Is the combination of having that responsibility and that block of time that we want to work towards, and then adding to that a timer that allows us to have a countdown, so that it just allows us to get into that flow work state, allow us to deeply concentrate and stay on task. That, to me, that combination probably is where you will get breakthroughs and you will become hyper productive for periods of time. And I'm quite excited about that concept. I think that idea will really resonate with a lot of you and could end up being a substantial benefit and a substantial change, is rolling in those pomodoros. So there are some apps that you can use that will help you along the way. Not a lot. There's not a lot of technology here that's at play. Obviously, you need a calendar app. Now, a lot of people do the time blocking on a day timer, on a physical calendar, where they write things out, and that's great because you have that time that you're thinking about and planning. You can also set up the time blocks within Google Calendar. You're going to find lots, when you start researching it, lots of people color code their times based on their energy levels and all of those sorts of things. So you can color code your block so you can see exactly where you are. Obviously, a timing app of some sort, a Pomodoro timer, you can find them that will plug right into Chrome, so it'll be sitting there on the desktop and you hit start, and then it's going to give you a countdown. I think tools like Rescue Time, which monitor your activities, will give you the feedback of how well you are staying on task and how well you're staying within it. I'm a big fan of the gamification of a lot of our task-based work. The Apple Watch has changed my life in a lot of ways, with the fact that my exercise is all documented, and I want to close those rings. You all know, if you've got an Apple Watch, if you've got an exercise watch, how you want to meet your goals, so that you see the measurement, you see you've actually achieved that kind of the exercise levels that you want. Rescue Time is a tool which we've shown you in the past, which will plug in as a browser extension into your browser, and it will audit your time that you spend. Now, it's a bit of a spying app. It's snooping on you, and it's snitching back if you are doing distracted tasks as opposed to staying on task. But it can do two things for you. One, it can help you determine which time blocks you should be applying, because you can look at how you spend your day and take that and modify that into the time block structure. But secondly, if you look back at the end of the week, you can see just how many hours of productive time you had based on different tasks. And those tasks can line up with the time blocks. So you can actually get a kind of a digital report out of each week, or out of each day for that matter, on how well you stayed on task. And for a lot of us, that gamification, that checking those boxes off so that we do the things that we promised ourselves we do, that's very rewarding, and it helps us through those rough patches when we think, oh, I wonder what's happening in Facebook right now. No, I'm not going to wonder what's happening in Facebook, because Rescue Time will know, and it will it will think on me, and I will look at it later, and I will be ashamed that I spent the time in Facebook. So that's another tool that one can consider. And then you know that we here as well are big fans of music, of environmental support. So, the lighting that you have within your office, all of those sorts of things. And the apps that we recommend, some music apps that you can wear with headphones or without, Brain FM or Focus at Will, which is all scientifically designed music that helps enhance focus by eliminating distractions. I like to say that it cocoons you, especially if you're wearing the headphones. It kind of cocoons you into this area that allows you to kind of sink deeper into a flow state as you focus and work on and work. So I think that those things dovetail very nicely with the commitment you're making to yourself by blocking out time. Now, we've got lots of specialists. There's a big conference coming up talking just about time blocking. Once you start down the rabbit hole of time blocking, you realize it's just more than chunks of time, just saying, I am going to do email here, and I am going to write reports here, and I'm going to write a blog post here. It's way more sophisticated than that. But I think we've given you a good idea of some of the subtleties involved in time blocking. So now let's get into a conversation and see if we can learn a little bit more. I have to apologize. I guess that's what happens when you go 22 or 23 days in a row creating content. I said Apple timer, and I've always made that mistake. I have a fruit and vegetable dyslexia, where I sometimes get apples and tomatoes confused, at least as far as timers goes. So thank you to all of you who corrected me as saying that the Pomodoro is a tomato timer, and I should know that with an Italian heritage as well. But yes, I do, and I've said it in the past. I've said an apple timer. I think the reason was there was a timer in our kitchen when I was a kid that was actually an apple, and I think that's it's messed me up, and so I apologize for messing up everybody's day with my apple timer bull BS. And
I think it's okay. You're forgiven.
Yeah, I am. It's interesting that the audio level was kind of low on that video. I have to check what happened in the output because it was low for me here as well. Many people had that issue. So there we have the block, and I love the comments. I love how some of the people says I use 9 different colors in order to, and other people are going, oh my God, they were just stressing out. They were absolutely stressing out at the thought of all those different colors. But different strokes and different things work for different people, and a lot of people here obviously finding huge value in using the block calendar booking. So let me just catch up on a few things, and then we'll get into the Q&A. And we've got a guest that we're going to bring in as well. So from the Q&A, from the detail point of view, replay will be sent out. A few people have asked in the chat. Replay, we always send the replay out day after. We do these webinars. We send a YouTube replay so you can fast forward through it. If you have to miss, or if you have any technical issues where the feed has some issues. And after 48 hours, that replay is pulled down, and then the replays are then archived in our Webinar Wednesday archives. We've got a bunch of patrons here who support us here at Dottotech. Thank you so much to you, one and all. And once again, if you are interested in supporting us, keeping us on air, almost every week, we do one of these tutorial webinars free, and our community appreciates it, and they show their appreciation and the fact that they want us to continue delivering these webinars by supporting us at Patreon. It's patreon.com/Dottotech, and there you can help keep us going, and we need and we appreciate the support. So here's what we're going to do now is we are going to once again test out how good our new webinar platform of choice is, trying Demio's ability to bring in a guest. So Francis Wade reached out to me. Francis is hosting a conference on block and calendar, a virtual conference next week on block and calendar booking. So Francis, if you can go through getting yourself online, I've enabled your microphone and your camera, so you should be able to jump in. And as soon as you enter the room, we should see you here. And then you can answer some questions about what I said right and wrong about calendar booking. I know there's some questions you can help answer, and you can also tell us about your upcoming conference. So while Francis is, there he is. There he is. Hey, Francis, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It's great to be with you.
It's great to be with you. Now, where are you?
I'm in Kingston, Jamaica. Nice, warm, sunny. I'm in the hills.
The best place ever. One of my favorite vacations. I aspire to go back to Jamaica.
Oh, there we go. Well, for some reason, his conference is virtual. He isn't bringing everybody down to Jamaica for it. I don't understand
that. I could.
So, did you watch my video?
I sure did.
So, was I accurate in how I described calendar booking or block booking?
Absolutely. And the struggle that people have in deciding how to do it well is real, because people struggle. People read a time blocking 101 post or podcast, or they see a vlog and they say, oh, it sounds easy. It should be good. I could do this. And they do it for maybe a week or two, and then it starts to get difficult. And the time blocking summit is all about what happens when it gets difficult.
Okay. So that's the thing. It's got to become habit. And you've got to see the benefit. I think a lot of people, what I would see happen is a lot of people would see it as a trap, where they become, or as a prison, where they feel constrained. Right. Is that the kind of the emotion that it instills?
Absolutely. At the summit, we're actually going to have a presentation by someone who's going to address time blocking for creators. Because creators, artists and sculptors and writers, see time blocking as a huge anal retention trap. That's something that will drive out their creativity. But the point she's going to make is that you do your best work, as we know, in the flow state or when you do deep work. And that's only possible if you time block. It just doesn't happen by accident. The world is too busy, too many distractions, too many smartphones, too much tweeting. we need the focus time, and time blocking, according to the research, is the best way to produce that.
Well, if you talk about creatives, I mean, if you're a solo creative, that's one thing. But for instance, before I did this job here, when we were doing television, my entire day was blocked out by other people for me. You have to be in makeup
Right.
at this point. You have to be in rehearsal at this point. You have to be in front of the camera because the crew is blocked to be in, and we have to get X amount of work done in this period of time in order to meet our delivery schedule. So in a lot of ways, it was completely locked in. Although I didn't have a lot of choice about how the blocks and what the activities were, it certainly wasn't based on my energy level and my it was based on crew's availability. But I mean, creatives have had to work in that environment for a long time, so they should be able to get their head around it.
Right.
And
time blocking, part of it has to do with reclaiming control and establishing autonomy over your schedule. So you're not just answering email all day long.
And when I started to think about it, and what appealed to me is I realized that we've done a little bit of that, even with this webinar that we're doing right now. Webinar Wednesday used to be a few hours earlier in the morning, but I realized that that's my highest energy time, is that morning. I get the most done. And if I do something like a webinar in that time, it's great for the energy of the webinar, but your own energy will always rise when you're doing something live anyway. So the energy is going to come. Right. So by shifting it to the afternoon, I reclaimed an hour and a half in the morning of high energy time. And so now this is at my low energy time, doing something like this. But it's good. But it still gets done, and it doesn't matter what my energy level is coming in because this job will get done. So it made me think from that perspective that you can really strategically, by moving around where your tasks happen, really improve your productivity.
Yeah. I discovered a similar phenomenon when I decided to do an Ironman triathlon back in 2003, and couldn't wake up in time because you needed to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do the long running, the long swimming, the long biking, and I wasn't making it. I was dying in the morning. So what I did essentially was to move an hour from the evening. I cut an hour off of my going to bedtime. And I moved that hour from 10 to 11 till early in the morning, and from 4 to 5. So I went to bed an hour earlier and got up an hour earlier. And that solved the problem for me. And that's the kind of thing that time blockers care a lot about, is how do I apportion my time so that I can basically make the most of it, accomplish my goals, get my dreams fulfilled, and have the life that I want.
Oh, I love it.
Can you drop a link into your, just tell us quickly.
I found it. I found it and I put it in.
So what are the dates of it, and what are it's a free summit? What's the story?
It sure is. It's a free summit, 3 days long. There are 30 speakers, and we have, I had to scour the woods. Mike Vardy is among them. Scour the woods for people who are expert in this area, because there aren't that many out there. A lot of people have written the 101 posts, but finding the good ones took a bit of time. So there's 30 speakers. March 5th to 7th, and registration is absolutely free. And there's going to be a number of app developers also speaking. It's sponsored by Woven. We've got together a real high quality group of people to give lots of different perspectives, because as you said before, there just is no one right way to do it.
So can you stick around and help us with the questions, since you obviously know more about it than me?
I know a thing or two.
Okay, so let's let me bring up some of the questions. So Vicky's asking, I use an app called A Tracker tool that's been great helping me understand where my time is going. That's more of a comment, but I mentioned that basically your calendar app is number one, and then a timer app is number two. It doesn't seem to me that there's a lot of technology that has to be applied to time blocking, is there?
Well, if you come to the summit, what you'll discover is that there's 2 ways to do time. There's 3 ways. There's a few ways to do time blocking. One is to use a manual system like Google Calendar or Apple Calendar or Outlook. Another way is to hire an admin assistant, and that's pretty expensive, and that's out of the reach of most people. But that's a way to time block if you have a real expert person. But since about 13 or 14, there's a brand new technology out called auto scheduling, and it uses the cloud and artificial intelligence. And there are 8 apps which are bravely out there pioneering, and I use one of them called SchedPal, pioneering a way of doing time blocking. And it's real simple. They give you a button to press on an app. You press the button and your schedule automatically gets rearranged using predetermined criteria. But all that overhead that you talked about in terms of keeping up and that people have difficulty with, the auto schedulers are taking all of that work away.
Wow. Does it then do those tools then track you, and do you track your performance and then it modifies based on your performance?
I don't know of any who do any tracking, and they're not using machine learning, and they're not quite to the point where they're modifying. They're just in the business of being a robot that automatically reshuffles your schedule the way a good admin would, except it's done by an invisible robot, basically.
Huh.
So Martin's asking, is there a calendar app that's particularly good for time blocking? And so I think we can actually expand on that a little bit. Should people have a single calendar or multiple calendars if they're doing time blocking?
Well, when you get to the point where you have lots of tasks, what you have they look like overlapping calendars. So I wrote an article for I think it was Lifehacker or lifehack.org years ago called saying that you should use 5 different calendars in Google Calendar. This is before I found out about auto schedulers. So they take a different point of view, which is the number of calendars doesn't matter. What matters are overlaying time maps. So different time maps that are sort of like heat maps that say, for example, my best time to do creative work is between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. The second preferred time is between 10 and 12, and the least preferred time is between 1 and 5. So you can map tasks to these time maps, and then they automatically determine where the best task should be and when it should be done.
I sense that in time map that some people, when they first look at it, would say, "Oh, this replaces my to-do list manager, or even or perhaps even my project manager." But it doesn't have to. You can still use those other tools in conjunction with your calendar. It's just you're articulating a lot more on your calendar what you're expecting for each block of time. Am I right?
Right. So some of them perform both functions, but some of them also, because when you have a calendar by itself, a manual calendar, it's pretty difficult to manage all the tasks in a Google Calendar, for example, because the overhead, once you get past 30 or 40 tasks, it starts to kill you. So if you're going to use Google Calendar, it's better to pair it with Todoist or Nozbe or Wunderlist, although it's going on to business, one of those other options. But the auto schedulers are essentially built so that you don't have to use a task manager if you don't want, and you can. Once again, there's no right way, perfect way, single way. There's only what works for you. And you sort of need to pay attention to what's my task volume, because that's what you're trying to track. You're trying to match the combination of techniques and apps with your task volume.
Great. This is one that I can't answer. Is it there? Is it appearing? Oh, it's not appearing. So for some reason, our questions, it's not showing. But Cheryl asked, how do you think time blocking compares with bullet journaling, which is another incredibly popular technique? So can you speak to that?
Sure. There's actually someone at our summit who's a bullet journaler and a time blocker, and he uses his calendar. He does it on paper in his bullet journal. Now, that's a more challenging proposition, because if you need to manage lots of tasks on paper, the overhead can become horrendous. Again, you've got to pick the right combination of behaviors and aids or tools that matches your task volume. At the very, very highest levels of task volumes, where you're managing hundreds of tasks, pretty much an auto scheduler is your best bet. But at lower volumes, you have more choices.
Sorry.
Okay. And no, that's incredibly popular with many others. So once again, can we drop in the timing of the conference? It starts May 4th.
May 5th?
May 5th?
March 5th, next week.
5th. And who else do you have speaking? You've got Mike Vardy, who's been on our show and a good buddy of mine.
Sure.
Actually, Mike has an event here this weekend in Vancouver which unfortunately I'm not going to be able to attend because I'm going to be in San Diego. It's funny he's coming here with an event just as we leave. So who else do you have speaking? We have Carl Pulliam speaking.
Right, Carl Pulliam is speaking. Ray Sidney Smith, Augusto Plinard, 4 PhDs, Melissa Gracious, Melanie Wilson. I could run through the list. a bunch of very, very smart people.
You've given us a good idea, and they can take a look. Zaya has a question. I have a full-time job, so my time is blocked that way. How do I go about blocking my time for creating products that will eventually help me get residual income? So you're looking to create a side hustle there, Zaya, I guess.
Right.
I am usually quite tired by the end of the day. So there you've got a resources challenge.
Right. Well, that there's always weekends. Hate to say it, but that's the sacrifice that sometimes has to be made. But the way I work and many people work is to block time in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So going to bed at 9 sounds crazy, but I went to bed last night at about 8:30, and I was up at about 4. But what it allows you to do is you get this huge bonus of extra time in the morning when the phones aren't ringing, no one's sending you email, and you can be crazy productive. So that's one way.
The morning is awesome. In our other life here at Dottotech, we've been talking to the gray zone, talking to the baby boomers, and one of the things about getting older, Zaya, you're probably not too old yet, but as you age, you will start going to bed earlier, but you also do get up earlier. And the morning has become a gift for me. The amount of stuff that I get done in the morning when I get up is it's startling, because as you say, it's recaptured time. It's a gift. And do you notice not watching TV, that last hour of television or something? I mean, if you have a family and kids and you're too burdened with other responsibilities, it could be an issue. But yeah, you can recapture an hour and a half, 2 hours in the morning, and that's where you can start to build that side hustle.
I used to spend between 10 and 11 every night falling asleep in front of the television.
Yeah.
And that
people
was an awful practice.
And you want to fall asleep faster? Put the phone away at 8 o'clock at night, put it in your office and plug it in. Go to bed an hour later without having looked at your phone, and don't look at your phone again. It will help you go to sleep early. There's things that you can do discipline-wise that will make a big difference.
Right. Time blocking that last hour of the day turns out to be some people to be a critical strategy, because you don't want to go to bed with all of the unfinished business from all those emails buzzing around in your head, because that will keep you tossing and turning. It'll get you up at 2 o'clock.
That's almost all the articles I read about time blocking, that concept of bookending, of starting the day and ending the day, but that ending the day thing is something that it seems like the discipline that makes a big difference, and in being able to shut down because you know what's coming up, so you aren't thinking about what's happening the next day. You've actually written it down, and that frees your mind up, right?
Right. The Zeigarnik effect. If you're familiar with that, it has to do with open loops. I'm
familiar with open loops from email, but it's the same concept. If you've written it down, you've offloaded the responsibility, your brain can relax, you can sleep better.
Right. And there's actually good science that shows that. By the way, the whole idea behind time blocking is built on the idea of an implementation intention, which came out of NYU. Goldwitzer, I forget, Philip Goldwitzer, I think his name is, but they've done a bunch of research since about 2003 or 4 that shows that when you determine the date and time a task is going to take place, it doubles the probability that you will complete the task.
Okay.
So that core idea is what gives time blocking its magic. So it's magical powers, so to speak.
It's the power of words, isn't it? It's the power of intent.
It sure is. There's a very big difference there.
Linda's asked, will the summit be recorded? I will be out of town, and she won't be able to take it live.
Right. So what she and others can do is purchase an all-access pass.
Okay.
It's actually discounted right now, so this is a great time to get it. It's, I think, $99 at the moment. And until the summit starts, what that gives you is lifetime access to all the recordings. It's 35 to 40 hours of content. So that's the revenue model, is they're going to deliver it live for free,
if you can take it in. And if you can't take it in for free, if you want to be able to get back, then they have an all access pass, which is $99 for the pass, and that will be on the link that we sent.
The price goes up during the summit and after the summit, but that's where it is right now. So it's a pretty decent deal.
David asked a question about what about privacy? He doesn't like using Google Calendar and other cloud-based calendars.
Big problem. Big problem. And not one that I have an answer to right off the bat. If you can sync your Google Calendar at work with the calendar on your phone or with other third-party apps, you may be able to get away with it if they allow you to. Sometimes
if you're a solo and you don't mind working analog, then a product like Michael Hyatt's Full Focus Planner, which is a paper-based book, which you can, and there's other planning books that you can do all of this type of block booking in, just using a paper calendar, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Right.
The challenge I think he's talking about is what happens when people see that you have all this free time in your calendar and you really don't.
Oh, well, that's one thing that drives me crazy about the calendar booking applications, where you allow people to book time in your calendar, which then allows them to set the agenda, Calendly and others. I appreciate the value, but I vastly prefer. I use a tool called Mixmax, which allows me, if I'm going to book a time with you, I think I used it with you, is I give you a couple of different times that you can book the time, and it automatically puts it in the email. So I'm in control of the calendar. I just give you a few options as opposed to you seeing my entire availability schedule.
Right, exactly. Woven does that also. It allows you to send out custom availability.
Okay.
Basically charts. You can send them to different people, different charts to different people.
And Woven is a fairly popular app in the blocking community.
Yes, it's a fairly new app. So everyone's going to hear about Woven during the summit because, as I said, they're the major sponsors. And I just had a detailed run through for the first time today. So it's very top of mind for me. It's a very powerful app.
Excellent. Great. Well, thanks for jumping in. This worked out well. It was pretty painless for you. How was just completely an aside, how was coming on as a guest? Was the onboarding easy into the webinar?
Sure. I could have benefited from a little explainer video before the fact, because I didn't quite know where to click to get past the initial screen. So that will help a little bit.
I will give them the feedback. They've been really reactive as we've been testing out different aspects of Demio. So we will let them know that a little bit of a better tutorial for onboarding guests, especially when we didn't pre-schedule. We just said join as a guest and then we'll bring you on. I wanted to see what that was like. So I thank you for being my guinea pig.
You're welcome.
Good luck with the conference. We'll be watching it with great interest and looking forward to the feedback. I appreciate the time.
Great. Thanks for having me.
That was awesome.
Oh, my pleasure. Okay, now I think how can you? I don't know how. Oh, there I can turn you off here. Bye. I can turn you off.
Bye, Francis.
Total control.
See you later.
Awesome job. Thank you so much for that. That was fun. What did you think, April? That was good.
I thought it was great, and the conference looks really interesting. I'm putting the link in one more time.
Yeah, let's do that, and let's wrap things up. It's I think we gave it a good look. I'm more intrigued by it. I think I could see how it could fit better in my life. I'm not sure I have the discipline overall to do it, but I love the idea. I love the fact that every time I explore one of these new productivity tools, it gets me thinking about the things that I do well and the things that I don't do well, and a little more granularly, like when your energy is right, when it's when you have the right time, and how we get distracted, the ways that we are distracted. So every time, even if you don't end up doing something like this, the fact that you kind of model it out and play with it in your mind probably helps you overall in your general productivity. So hopefully we've helped everybody improve just maybe a little bit. And some of you, this might be the day. This might be the change. Is block booking might just be the block calendar booking might be just the thing for you.
Once again, I thought that was great. Francis was great. Lots of great feedback and yeah. Awesome. I signed up for the conference too.
Oh, good. Okay. Let's call it a day. Check your email tomorrow for the replay. We'll also put the links into the conference there, so in case you missed that. Next week, enjoy yourself. We will be still traveling the following week. I'm not sure what the topic is yet. We'll check your email for that.
Yeah, but check us out on the Dottotech Facebook page and on Twitter, because we're gonna be live and sharing some stories from social media marketing world.
Are we? Are we going live from
Yeah.
Social Media Marketing World?
You were going to, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm only
And if
bringing
you
my.
are at Social Media Marketing World, I'm not sure if anybody is in the room. We are having, Steve obviously has his presentation on Mondays, but we are having a meetup as well. So
We
we'd
are
love
for the gray zone, and yeah, so hopefully we'll see. And yeah, keep your eye on social. We will be definitely publishing. We are doing one more live stream tomorrow. If you check out the Dottotech page, we'll be talking a little bit more about B School as we get close to that. As we have been, as most of you know, we've been an affiliate and we've been promoting B School, and we've been really enjoying the conversation and the learning with the rest of the baby boomers and Gen Xers.
tomorrow's at 4:00, I believe, right? Because somebody's asking.
Yeah,
It's at 4:00 tomorrow. When you leave Friday, 4:00, Nobby. So you get to sleep in a little bit tomorrow.
Yeah, Nobby gets to sleep in. That's it. True that. Okay, April, thank you.
Bye,
Thanks
guys.
to everybody. Thanks to all of our guests. With so much appreciation. And to Francis, good luck with the conference. I hope that we help boost your attendance.
Yeah, it looks
Till
like it's gonna be
next time. Have fun storming a castle.
great. Bye, guys.